right, we're going to do round 2 of this forecast because I got a bunch of feedback that the last few videos that I released had some really weird audio. Sorry if you heard that. I know one of the main things that makes people click off of videos is bad audio, but we're going to try again. So I have already recorded this forecast once, but like I said in my Uranus and Gemini talk, which you should listen to if you are interested in this brand new energy that's coming in, that's going to change the way that you think, the way that you perceive, the way that you reflect on your life, give that a listen. But we're here today with the path ahead. This is my astrology forecast for the week of July 7th through the 13th. I'm Nafa Perkins of Electra Astrology. If you like my style and you want to book with me, I have many offerings at electraastrology.com. And we're going to get into the astrology of the week. We do have 2 planets that are stationing to go retrograde, and that's Mercury and Saturn. Now, Mercury doesn't start until next week, but we're still feeling it. And Saturn retrogrades at the end of the week. But, as these planets are slowing way down, we are starting to get delivery of what the themes that these retrogrades are going to bring us. So we're going to get into that. And I say that we jump into the charts. Okay, we're going to start on July 7th. That's Monday. And look, as I'm recording this, Uranus has entered into Gemini. What's been happening in the mind? What have you been noticing in terms of your thinking? What's coming to you through your screen? Different kinds of communication that is necessary. And these are all Gemini things. One thing that happened to me last night, maybe right as Uranus was entering Gemini, I was up in the middle of the night and scrolling Instagram as I do when I can't sleep. And I stumbled upon an account where this woman was going through and pointing out all of the AI edits in all of these celebrity photographs. She was showing the distorted hands. She was showing little glitches in the matrix of these photos. And she was bringing up some questions around what can we trust? If the mainstream media, if the social media, if everything is now being altered to create a certain kind of perception, what does that mean for us? Everybody sees different kinds of posts depending on what you spend the most time looking at, on what you like, etc. So we know that this is happening, but how much do we know? How focused in are we on the reality that everything on a screen is potentially altered? Like, for example, I mentioned that my sound was weird, and I realized that there was a setting on my editing software that was distorting the sound. Just a click of a button totally makes me sound like a different person. Something to be contemplating. What is Uranus entering Gemini bringing you right now? What kind of information has just shown up on your desk? Lisa Salvatore, my friend and colleague, and I are doing a YouTube Live on Tuesday, the 8th. And we're going to be talking about Uranus entering Gemini because it's really powerful energy. Uranus is the planet that brings us breakthrough. Break down and also break through. So when it comes to Gemini, information, the mind, the communication, the brain, the things we have been taught since we were little, a lot of shifting and changing that's coming in, and we're already seeing it. But it's important to have some sort of awareness of it. It's almost like you're doing your due diligence by understanding that everything could potentially be altered unless it's standing right in front of you. And just knowing that can help give you some power so that you can make better decisions. You can trust your gut. Does this feel real? Does this feel right? Because that's what we have moving forward. If we're operating in the most effective, sound way, that's what we have, is what feels right. And I always say, question everything. I have my Mercury in the sign of Gemini, and I am a questioner. I am more likely to not believe something that is told to me than to believe it. But this is a time when doing a lot of research and doing your own research outside of the powers that be, right? Like the mainstream, the regular websites, like just explore, broaden your mind, open it up a little bit, see what else is out there and see what there is to learn. Right on July 10th, we have a full moon in the sign of Capricorn. we see that it's making connections to the nodes, and it is also squaring the asteroid Ceres. So what does that mean? Full moon, especially in the sign of Cancer Capricorn, is bringing in that element of the authorities, the parents. We say that Cancer represents the mother or the queen, and I am releasing a talk this week on Astrology for Awakening, talking about Cancer and the archetype of how she is the mother and the queen that lives within each of us. We want to be the best mother, and we want to be the most powerful queen. And what goes into being those things for ourselves? It's going to bring up some of these questions for you during this full moon. And then we look at Capricorn, and Capricorn is related to authority, to the father, to tough love lessons, to safety, to success. And so we're grappling with these themes this week. What happens if I feel? How do I feel? How do my emotions play into this? And how does my logic play into this? This is logic versus emotion. This could be the energy of that father that says, I'm going to show you some tough love and tell you what's really going on, versus the energy of the mother that's like, oh, but I want to keep you safe and I want to be nice. It can show up in any number of ways. Watch for how it is showing up for you. There's a lot of growth coming, and there's a lot of growth right now across the board. That's why I'm always reminding you to tune in, to be present with what's happening, because it is so easy to be on autopilot. I just told my girlfriend that I feel like these summer days are going by in such a blur. I look back at the end of the day and I almost can't remember what I did. I have no way to explain how quickly the time is flying by. It's weird. It feels like an alternate reality. And I'm wondering if you guys are having the same experience. And so the way to balance that so that we're not just zooming through every single day, just swiping left on every day, forgetting what happened, is to have this sense of presence, this touch point that you can come back to that says, I'm right here in this body right now, in this point in space and time. And here's what I'm noticing. Here's what I'm noticing about my experience. We have to work on having this consciousness, because everything around us is like distorted and fake unless we're outside or unless something's right in front of us. And then it's real, it's rich. The breeze smells like flowers. The water has a certain rushing sound when you hear it. Like, those things are real. And we're learning how to grow into being with those things. And that's part of our North Node mission. It's Pisces time. Pisces says, look, you have to take the big picture. You have to be present. You have to be connected with your higher self, with your guides, with your God, with your conduit. You don't need to be rushing around doing all the human things. That's Virgo. The lists don't matter as much. The doing, the performing, the posturing, the always needing to look good, it really doesn't matter, because you know what? What's the point of going through all this effort to look good if everybody else is just altering themselves to look good? Like, why would we want to put in all of our brain power and all of that work into something that somebody else can easily fake? Now we see that this moon is also in a square to Ceres. Ceres is the asteroid about the body. I did several good talks on asteroid Ceres under the Astrology for Awakening tab on YouTube. Ceres is a great asteroid to know about. It represents the way that we care for ourselves, the way that we are with our bodies. And frankly, a lot of us are not with our bodies at all. We use substance to get out of our bodies. We use distraction to get out of our bodies. And sometimes that's because our bodies don't feel good. There's a lot of pain, physical, emotional, spiritual, that lives in the bodies. But those pains bring us to something important within us. If we are willing to explore, if we're willing to just be with a discomfort, even briefly, it leads us to a jewel of some sort. Leads us to something that says, you might want to work on this. You might want to look at this. So a personal example, I'm in front of this desk a lot. I got a treadmill. I love this treadmill. I want to walk on this treadmill all the time. However, I started to get a little obsessive about it because once I hit 10,000 steps, I wanted to hit 12,000 steps. And then I wanted to hit 15,000 steps. And why not? As long as I'm in front of this desk doing work, I might as well be on the treadmill. Well, it started to cause issues. I was like, why is my knee so sore? Why is this tendon in my thigh being so weird? And I did a little research, tuned in, and the message that I got from my higher self was, look, you are so concerned with getting steps. You have all of these stories around what exercise means. It makes you a good person. It keeps weight off, right? We all have our head stuff around what we're supposed to be doing, how we're supposed to be performing. Hey, if I'm getting all this work done and I'm exercising, great, double gold star. Then there's an injury. This brings me straight into my own version of these teachings. Why am I rushing to move so fast? Why am I pushing myself to do 15,000 steps when I am constantly talking to all of you guys about slowing down? So watch the Virgo stuff. Watch whatever those storylines are that you have that's like, I have to keep going. I have to do this. I have to do this perfectly. Because what happened? My body came in, Ceres came in and said, what are you doing? If you're not going to stop yourself, I'll stop you. How about we make it a little hard for you to walk? Because now your thigh tendon is being weird. Okay, I get it, universe. But my point is that this is the kind of thing that is happening for all of us. We're getting the clues, we're getting the feedback, we're getting the lessons, but we have to be tuned in to hear them. Which brings me back to being the good mother and being the best queen for your kingdom. If your body, mind, soul, psyche, spiritual connection is your kingdom, it's a thriving ecosystem where you have a king and a queen and a page, and you have all of these different players that are helping to keep this kingdom thriving. Well, you better be a good queen to yourself. You better be a good king. Better be tuned in and paying attention. What does this ecosystem need? What needs to happen here in order to keep everything moving along well? So that is a challenge for you. I'm giving you a challenge for this week with this full moon, because the full moon is bringing something into balance. It's bringing that logical, and in this case, we're looking at a Capricorn moon. So this is like the logical queen, okay, that says, look, if you have something going on with a muscle, why are you pushing yourself to continue exercising on that muscle? Why? Where is it going to lead you? It's going to lead you into a deeper injury. Okay, so you're going to have to face the part of yourself that feels fear about slowing down. And why do you feel fear about slowing down? What is that about? And this is one of those jewels that you land on. And it opens up this whole door of inquiry into why you do something that you do so that you can heal it. And it's across from the sun in Cancer. This is the king. This is a sweet and emotional king in this case. And the king says, who are you and what do you need? If you were going to be soft and loving and attuned to what you need, what would that be? What would that look like? Well, in my case, it looks like not being on the treadmill for 6 hours a day. Okay. And that's hard. I've got a lot of old stuff in my brain that I have to work on. It's not as easy as saying, oh, I'll just stop. Okay. And I know that you guys have very similar things that happen to you as well. So this full moon is going to bring up some really interesting energy around that for you. All the while, we're feeling the beginnings of Mercury slowing down. Mercury is the mind. Mercury is the messenger. So Mercury is bringing you a lot of information, perfect, about what you need to stop doing. I also see during this full moon that Mercury is trining Ceres. Okay, so great. Thank you, Mercury. Thank you for helping us see what we need to see. Now, right before Saturn actually stations retrograde, we do see this moon make a conjunction with Pluto. Pluto is the magician in your kingdom. Pluto is the one, the seer, the guide, okay? So the moon now, your queen, in the logical sign of Aquarius, meets with Pluto and says, what do I need to know? What are my blind spots? I've been doing the energetic transmissions for all of you. Huge thanks to everybody that signed up for that. I had a great response. One of the questions that I keep asking for on the behalf of these people is, what are your blind spots? What are you not able to see about this current situation? And that's what Moon meeting Pluto is helping you to see. So what are your blind spots in life right now? You know, what is happening? What are some of the deeper places that would be good to explore? Moon's going to help you do that. And then right after that, on Saturday, July 12th, Saturn stations to go retrograde. That puts us now with both Saturn and Neptune in retrograde. They are officially on their journey back toward Pisces. So when these two planets entered into Aries, we started to get a lot of shifting energy around our boundaries, around being able to take action. We had so many spiritual lessons while they were in Pisces, and we're not done with that yet, but a lot of spiritual lessons, in my case, around trust that things would be taken care of, trust that I didn't have to run myself ragged, that I wasn't responsible for taking care of everybody else's emotions. Also, trust that when it came to Saturn things like responsibility, like success, as long as I was working on trusting myself, trusting that things would flow in divine timing, that my inner authority was only getting stronger. These planets in Aries for the last few months have given us a chance to kind of work the process, right? We got the spiritual lesson, we got the information, and then we kind of went out into the field. We went and did some internship in the realm of Aries of like, what do boundaries look like? What do boundaries feel like? What happens when I actually honor a boundary? Now they're both heading back into Pisces. That won't happen for a few months. These planets move slowly, but we're going to go back. We have some more to learn. So what's happening right now when it comes to Saturn themes, your job, your career, your life's great work, your sense of authority, your personal authority? With Saturn, we become our own authority. We realize all of the places that we have outsourced our authority. Maybe you'll fix this. Maybe you'll give me the answer. Maybe you'll do this for me. If I follow this rule, then I'm going to be safe. And a lot of times there is external authority, and we do want to follow rules, and we do want mentors. We want people that can teach us things. It's not that we become so egotistical that it's all about us knowing all of the information, but we begin to step out into the realm of, do I trust myself to know this answer? Do I trust myself to make this diagnosis? A practical example of this is when you have kids, every time they get sick, you rush them to the doctor. After a while, you get to know the symptoms. You understand them enough that you don't have to rush to the doctor because you know what you can do to support them. So that is the kind of Saturn energy that we're playing with right now as it relates to Aries, boundary, passion, purpose. All right, well, I think I'm going to leave it there. I hope this was helpful for all of you. I've got a ton of great content. Make sure to check that out. All of my teachings are designed to help you inquire and understand your own situations a little bit better so that you are more empowered. All right, have a great one.